Oops. We're not all the way on yet. Hmm. Perhaps we're on and I'm not seeing it pop up live.
It's on my side recording live on Facebook.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see it over here. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Oh my goodness. I'll just do a reboot of this over here. Wow. Hello, everybody. It's so amazing to be here with each of you today. We are, we have, I feel like every time we're here, we always have so much to say and so much to share. And none of it is a surprise anymore, right? It's really about anchoring in what's happening, understanding what's happening on the multidimensional levels, and how do we navigate this? And we want to talk today. Colin and I were just chatting about. He was watching. Was it David Icke? You said, Colin,
Yeah.
and because there are so many amazing, beautiful people right now, really speaking their truth and really anchoring in these frequencies of understanding what our next moves are as human beings, as a collective. Um, so, my goodness, welcome, happy Sunday! I love it.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful day. Yeah. We had a
Awesome.
week of cold and rain, and so it was nice to see the sun out today.
Yeah, the sun is beautiful here too. So thank you for bringing it all the way around back to the old Washington State. Mm,
Yeah, I finished the course that I've been on Soul Coach today, and
beautiful.
when I think back on it, I think it's probably the most important thing that I can tell humanity at the moment. So they understand the power that they hold within their souls,
Hmm.
and how the system that we live in is a lie. It's a great big lie.
Yeah.
And people are beginning to wake up to all the lies. As we've seen, there's so many lies now at the moment that are being spewed out by our leaders. When I say spewed out, they come out with a new lie every day, and sometimes several lies in one day. And I just sit back astonished at how many lies they will tell with a straight face. It's
Not,
just extraordinary.
not only with a straight face, but and one after the other, but it's like they'll create a lie within a lie right in front of you. They'll say something and then act like they didn't just say it. It's the most bizarre thing. And I think it's, well, gaslighting, but I don't understand how people can't. I really don't understand how they don't see, wow, that's not at all what they said yesterday. Or that's not all what I just heard 15 minutes ago. It's so
Yeah,
bizarre to me.
yeah,
It,
and it's part of a socialist Marxist nationalism or Nazism. It's really was a trait introduced by Goebbels, the propaganda minister of the Nazi Party, and he said that if you tell a lie, tell a big lie, and make it sound plausible so that people will believe you. And if you tell a lie often enough, people will believe it. And that's what's been happening here, a lie after lie after lie, and a big lie.
yeah.
I mean, it's such an incredibly large lie that uh, I, I just wondered how they ever thought they could make this lie plausible.
I have no idea. I was reading a little bit more today about EMFs, or ELFs, extremely low frequencies. And I thought their lies have to be coming and sticking because of these extremely low frequencies, and so many people on the planet still being in fear, and how these frequencies really can attach to that. But I thought, my goodness, this is absolute insanity. It's dancing in insanity. I don't even, I just can't even listen anymore. I mean, I do because I want to know some of the things that are happening, but I just go, my gosh, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. But the good thing about all of this whole, COVID narrative, lockdown narrative, is that so many people who were asleep before are now waking up,
Yeah.
and they're starting to use the language of the awakened,
Yes.
which is very, very important. I
I
hear
love
so
it.
much more now from people that I never, who a year ago would never have said things like, "Oh, we've got to raise our frequencies."
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. And, I was talking with a friend, um, Ed, the other day, and we were talking about even this uprising or this awakening within the religious structures, which I find most fascinating. People waking up to this and breaking out of that mind control structure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Like, wow. To me, I'm like, wow, that is the most, because I find that that's where you find such pardon my expression when I say this, and I don't intend to offend anybody, but narrow-mindedness, right? There's not a lot
yeah,
of wiggle room in there.
yeah, yeah. There's and this whole system that they've developed is based on a language they developed.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've used our language to entrap us, because they don't speak the language of truth, they speak the language of lies.
Mm.
And they've created a grammatical and syntax, a grammar and syntax that supports the lie.
Yeah.
And because we've allowed them to do that, they've created a truth based on a grammar and syntax that is false. And they use what that is called pacification. So uh, when you pass words, PARSE, is you take a word like religion. What does that word mean if you pass it? Re is past, legion is to get the troops. Okay,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
that's what a legion was. It was a, a faction in an army. The Roman legions were the army, and a legion consisted of 10 men. And so when you had many legions together, you had built an army. So you re-legion, and people don't understand that they don't understand the source of these words, the
Mm.
etymology of these words, and they will use these words without thinking about them. But it's something that we have been indoctrinated with since we were children, that we don't actually understand. What does indoctrinate mean? Is when you get in, so it's in
Inside.
dock, when you're in the dock in a court. Okay, so indoctrinated, so you stand under the court.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you indoctrinated, you are being judged, you're in the court and you have to defend yourself. And all these words that they've used grammatically. And there's a guy who studied this for 10 years. His name was um, Russell J. Gould.
Oh, I remember that name. I don't know why. I wonder if we spoke of this.
Yeah, and Russell J. Gould studied the syntax and classification of language for
Yes.
10 years. And he analyzed things like the Declaration of Independence. He analyzed legal contracts. What is a contract? A contract.
A con.
And use, well, once he began to understand how language has been used here to blind us to the truth.
Yeah.
So he redeveloped the language, and by that, when he was doing this discovery of contract, he realized that the United States had become a, a corporation. In
Mm-hmm.
1913, it was no longer the Republic of the United States, it was the Republic of the United States Incorporated.
Yeah.
And when they incorporated, they lost the ability, the Republic lost the ability to hold authority. So, so and having said that, that means that all the judges and government agencies and government employees are just administrators. So a judge is just an administrator for the corporation. A police officer is just an administrator of the corporation. They no longer have the authority to to judge. They don't have no longer have the authority to enforce the law. Now, what does enforce mean? They are enforcing a law where they have no authority to enforce the law, because
Right.
they are enforcing it on behalf of an entity that does not exist anymore.
Exactly. It makes me think about the resistance. The resistance stands for the Republic, right? And it's no wonder we have such a um, well, an uprising of the people that are realizing um, the falsity in the language. I call it cabal language, uh, and uh, and how we're I'm thinking of something else for a second, going back to this Russell J. Gould. When you said that he was studying the language and then he brought it forth to us, is there a place or uh, a document or a website or something that people can read this to be able to reintegrate this language to be able to
Yeah,
take back, because that's going to go right back into taking back and having the people rise and recreate the republic.
yeah, because yeah, he's got a website, but if you just Google Russell J. Gould, it will take there's lots of information on him. I can't remember his website, but he does have a website, and you can, uh, on his website, you can enroll to learn the language, to understand.
Wow, that's what I would be curious about. Wouldn't that be great if we could get all of humanity to do this?
Yeah, but here's the kicker. Russell J. Gould, because he understood the language, he was able to rewrite the Constitution of the United States of America in a way that does not put the United States under the authority of the of the House of Representatives and Senate. It puts it under the authority of the Postmaster General.
Yes, yes.
But
This
how
is
he
where it
explained,
gets really tricky. This is where all kinds of really cool stuff can start happening.
yeah, and the whole office of the Postmaster General was a very important office because it all comes from maritime trade. When maritime trade first started, it introduced a lot of new laws. But one of the laws was that when you wanted to transfer goods across the sea, across the mare, which is Latin for sea, that's where maritime comes from. And if you transfer goods across the sea, how do you retain ownership of those goods? You retain ownership of those goods by the flag under which you sail. So whoever owns the flag owns the goods. Okay. And this is in maritime law. People don't know that. I mean, I didn't know that until I learned it from him. And he went right back to the 1400s and how the development of maritime law is the law under which we have been placed under jurisdiction. And it has no real jurisdiction over us unless we agree. So there's this whole system of law that's been developed. But what he did, he took over and he entered into a contract with the Postmaster General. He took over the office of the Postmaster General. So he is now the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America because he owns the flag.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Let's think about that for a minute. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So what
Based
he's
on
done,
their own laws, based on their own laws.
exactly, he used their laws against them
Mhm.
in order to reestablish the Republic. And the Republic was reestablished, I think it was on the 15th of January of this year.
I believe,
So,
yeah.
yeah, and the Corporation of America was dissolved and is bankrupt.
And there were so many steps that went into this, right? So much that had been planned and was happening behind the scenes and how all this goes. But now the question is, how do we bring that to the forefront, right? What is our next step as humanity? What is our next step as the Republic to move through this?
Yeah, it really involves information because information is what drives everything on the planet, believe it or not.
Yeah.
The course I was doing on soul codes is about the information we hold in our souls. And that information holds the history of our souls. And not only our soul history, but our genetic history is held in our soul codes. So it's all about information. And the thing on this planet, all the information that people hold is false. It's a lie. They've been lied to every single day. And so people have to get back and understand what the truth, get the information. So they have to do their own research. They have to go and look and study things like law, maritime law. What is it and where did it come from? And if you understand, maritime law started in the 14th century when Venice was the principal trading city of the world.
Right.
The merchants of Venice were very famous then. And they developed maritime law. And then the Vatican heard about this and they said, look, we would like to learn about maritime law. So I think it was Pope Innocent I called the merchants of Venice, who were mainly Jewish people, because the Jews were very good at trading. And they sat and talked to him about maritime law. And once the Pope understood what maritime law was, he issued certain papal bulls, Boulle, bulls, which are papal documents, where he made made certain declarations, where he declared that under maritime law, all the land on the earth and all the souls on the earth belong to the church.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
basically what he did is he went over and he pissed on everything and said, this is mine and I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
That's the simple form.
And so the church became involved in trade and in maritime law, and they promoted it because under maritime law, they saw a gap for them to establish themselves as the authority on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And for right through from the 14th century right to the 19th century, the Roman Catholic Church held a large sway over the development of many things. I mean, they were not just involved in religion, they were involved in politics, they were involved in education,
Mm-hmm.
involved in medicine, they were involved in wars, in not only creating wars but preventing wars, and in uprising of people and changing people through superstition, changing people's belief systems, and and they set up a magnificent security system where it's called confession. So people were going to the local priest, who was the local spy, and they were telling their priest everything that the priests wanted to know, so that they could be absolved of their sins. But the priest was the spy, and he reported all of that back to the bishop, what the people are up to. And so they set up a security agency called the church and the confessional. And so they were able to spy on people, on populations and societies and communities and families and individuals, and know what individuals were and families and so on and societies were up to through this thing called the confessional. And the whole world was covered with these confessionals. It was the spying agency for the Roman Catholic Church. It wasn't just a place where people went to get their sins absolved. That was the smoke screen that was put out there.
Go ahead.
If one looks at with dispassionate eyes, because I know this holds a lot of emotion for people, because many people are attached to the Catholic Church. I was brought up Roman Catholic, so I understand very well about the Catholic Church. And I saw some things in the Catholic Church that I loved, and I saw some things in the Catholic Church that I despised. So it comes very much as a mixed blessing. But having said that, I understand that people's emotions are going to run high about religion and religious matters. But if one looks at it dispassionately and see where the Roman Catholic power got its power from, because they established an assassination squad called the
it's not the Knights of Columbus, is it?
Well, there was a whole lot of them. The Knights were part of it, the Knights of Columbus, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of the Holy Rosary. There were all sorts of different groups, but the assassination squad was the Jesuits.
Oh, the Jesuits, yes. Yes.
So they established the White Pope and the Black Pope.
Yep.
The White Pope was the front that they put up for the world to see, that was all white and nice and blessings and, incense and nonsense and things that they could fool people with. But behind the scenes, they had the Jesuits who were doing all the dark operations behind the scenes of assassination, of spying, of collecting information. The Jesuits have the biggest telescope in the world. They have the biggest intelligence agency in the world situated in the Vatican.
Yeah.
With a computer system that's second to none. They are the biggest spies on the planet.
Yes. 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 I had I reposted on IGTV, Instagram TV, this little like blurb that I had sent out to my students, and today I felt like I should post it publicly, and I did. But it was about it's really about it's so in alignment with what we're talking about today, because I grew up Catholic as well, and there are some things I liked and some things I didn't like. But one of the things that I'd realized, and I said this in my post, is people don't understand the Vatican. As far as they're concerned, they do own everything. They hold our soul. They hold our soul records. They hold and people don't know that. And so, in my plea, basically, I was like, call everything back. Call your soul codes back. Call your ovum back, your sperm, your sebum, everything, because they have it. They have all of that. It's it's like in etheric records, as well as hard records, but just take it back. Stand in your authority, stand in your light, stand in your godliness, however you want to say that, and take your shit back.
Yeah. But Russell J. Gould is also indicted the Vatican, the Pope, and under the maritime law. But he used the correct language and not their language. So he used their principles but different language, and so he was able to fool them, and he exposed, when he approached them, he exposed them to what they were doing, and he said, "I know what you're doing," and and I believe that all the gold from the Vatican was removed in November, just before the election. There's video evidence of these U.S. Army trucks going into the Vatican, thousands of them, and apparently something like a couple of quadrillion tons of gold was removed from the Vatican.
Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh. And the technology too. Well, I mean, obviously our planet is rich in gold and so many minerals, right? That we need for energy transmissions and exchange. But
yeah, and Russell J Gould is also, he's the one who's behind the quantum financial system. He designed it, and he is moving all the financial systems of the world out of the current system. I've forgotten what they call it, the SWIFT system, which is the interbank operating system that allows for transfer money from one continent to another, one country to another. And he's removing the SWIFT system and replacing it with the quantum financial system.
Which we'll see how that goes. There's so many rumors about what that means, what that is, right? What does it mean for humanity? There's a lot of rumors out there about all different kinds of possibilities for financial wealth or debt, being wiped away, and financial wealth taking over. And going back to original universal laws, and love being your frequency, that kind of stuff. How does this all tie into Russell taking over and creating?
Well, I've been telling people for a long, long time that this world is going to have a complete makeover. And it's not just the financial systems, it's the political systems. The whole system of government is going to be dismantled. And what is going to come forth is the government being pushed down to the lowest level. So at the lowest level, that will be recognized as the government of the country, and whichever communities agree to belong to whatever. So you could have, as far as the local level is concerned, they will have absolute autonomy over what happens on the local level, but they will be able to participate up into at higher levels of provincial, national, international government, so that there is, in a sense, one world government, but it's one world government by the people and for the people.
Right, which is different than the new world government.
Yeah. The whole education system is going to have to be changed, because at the moment education is run by the Vatican. And it was introduced by the Vatican, and it is part of the New World Order cabal system and false matrix. Medicine is going to have to be completely changed, because Big Pharma controls the medicine on this planet. They control the doctors, the university, the research, and they are the guys that finance and push whichever way they want health to go on this planet. So that is going to have to be completely overhauled, and it is being overhauled now.
It is. Look at all the sound. I see Lenora's hearts coming up. Thank you for your hearts, Lenora. I see so many hearts and likes coming up. Thank you, everybody. And what I'm seeing with this medicine stuff, you're saying that it's already changing over. I'm seeing frequencies come back to our planet that we've not had access to. And what sound frequencies do to the body are absolutely phenomenal. And Lenora has some beautiful sound frequencies that come out of her and through her bowls. And I can't
Uh,
wait for this overhaul in terms of how we feel, how our bodies feel, how we get over illnesses, you know, how like it's not it doesn't need to exist. That which made the body, that which created the body heals the body, right?
yeah, and the whole laws of ownership will change completely. So it, it won't be that anyone will own anything or any piece of land, but everything will belong to the earth and all its people.
That
And people will be allocated on a lease basis a plot of land in perpetuity where they can use that land for whatever purpose they choose. So this migration from rural areas to the city will change, and people will go back to the rural areas and start living in peace with as much money as they could possibly spend in their entire lives. Um, so it won't be a question of working for money anymore. It will be a question of working for the benefit of the planet and all its people, which will change the consciousness in this planet completely.
mhm.
But there's going to be a rapid change. When it comes, it's going to be rapid. Uh, and I can't speak for, the timing of it, but I just know I can see, a, a, a locomotive is coming where you can hear the engine and you can see the smoke.
Yep, yep. And I
Oh,
love that analogy because I have trains come through here like six or so times a day. So I can hear them coming from far away, right? So that's perfect. Perfect.
yeah, and the signs are there in many, many quarters, of what is happening. But there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and the reason it's not out in the open because people will not simply not understand what Russell J. Gould is talking about.
Right.
But but if you understand the history of maritime law, the history of contract, and how language and grammar can be twisted uh, and amended to mean things which they are not meant to mean. And so one has to go back to the etymology of words and use words in their original form and not in their twisted form. So the language of the planet will also change. The way we interact with each other will change.
Yes.
Uh, who we are as soul beings and will change. And things like disrespect will not be allowed. It will simply disappear because people will live lives where they respect each other, and they love each other, and
Yeah.
they realize that as a family and as one unit for each other and by each other and standing together, they are far more formidable than any other force, on the planet. And so the entire consciousness of this planet will change. But I'm getting ahead of myself here because it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
There are steps to be taken, but the steps are being taken. The republic has been taken, reestablished. The old corporation of the United States has been taken down, and it's going to happen worldwide
Yeah.
because I watched the David Icke speech in London today, and they had a massive rally in London, but they also had massive protests in France, in Paris.
Yeah.
They have massive protests in Germany, in several cities in Germany. They had massive protests in Amsterdam, all over Italy. There were at least 5 cities where they had massive protests, and protests are starting to happen all over the world. And people are pushing back
Yeah.
and resisting what's been going on. And I think governments are going to have no option but to back down.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, we had massive riots and looting going on in South Africa, and it was ignited by, a political force. But what happened is there were so many poor people who have been, you know, dispossessed and you're disowned, and they've been, quite frankly, abandoned by the government, who's taken their jobs away and have given them no hope, and they just start creating, you know, a socialist system where they do little handouts to people, you know, during this time, and the people can't subsist on those little handouts. So they joined in and they stole billions of rands worth of goods just in a few days in two areas of South Africa. Now
Yeah,
you can imagine if that starts to take place all over the world, the entire economic system of the planet will come to an end.
it will. Yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch. I saw a video of just in what was happening in South Africa, and it was heartbreaking to watch. Um, the desperation that people are feeling, especially, um, it's just, yeah, it's really hard to watch. I think that that's all I have to say about that without getting too emotional about it, right? It's,
Yeah,
when we're desperate, we do anything we can, and that's even hurt our own people, which further hurts ourselves. I was imagining, you know, as the governments fall apart and things change, and people are waiting and looking for someone to show up. Who's going to show up? Are we going to see aliens? Are we going to see this? How is our language going to change? And when we're talking about the language changing, it makes me think of the Anuhazi. And the Anuhazi are the original bringers of our language, our human angelic language. And it it brings to mind that we are the ones who show up. We are the ones who step into our lineage and remember our lines as in lineage, remember our families, and remember what each lineage brought to the table as far as community. And when we're
yeah,
able to step out of fear, step out of desperation, and really allow our true selves to step into our bodies, that's when that's who shows up. That's who creates the new world. That's who creates the governments. The Anuhazi bring the language. The other ones bring, what they bring to the table. And that's how we reestablish this community. We do it because we show up, because we are able to get out of that frequency fence and remember, right?
yeah, yeah,
I say right as in,
yeah.
yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, and in this course, I'm just going to release. I finished it today. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page as well.
Beautiful.
It's going to remind people that the history and the language of the history, which is in Anahati, by the way, the language used, is encoded in their souls.
Yes.
So everything about them is known by the universe. And all they have to do is to step into their authentic selves and
Yeah.
be authentic, because our soul codes are really a representation of our authenticity.
Yeah.
Over time, our memories will be restored, and we will begin to remember who and what we are.
Yep. Yep.
And it's going to be done in a way that people won't sit and start self-flagellating because of the wrongs of the past, but it will be done in a way where they'll glory in the fact that they are far greater than they imagine themselves to be.
Yeah.
And when they begin to remember where they came from and their history, which is very profound actually, because I found out some of my history, and I worked a lot with my own history when I was told by my higher selves that I had to go clear miasms in my history, in my soul codes, because I'd been accumulating a lot of lies in my soul codes, and I'd accumulated a lot of experiences that I need to purge. So I went back in history, but as I went back in history, more history revealed itself, and I
Yeah.
could remember previous lifetimes and previous occasions, just small glimpses of it, you know. Like I remember being thrown overboard on a Roman galleon, and I remember drowning in the sea and hearing the oars as the galleon rowed away. And I remember dying, but I didn't die. It was a strange thing. I was under the sea, I was drowning, but I didn't die. I was still
Wow.
conscious. Uh,
Amazing.
and that's when I began to think, do we really die when our bodies die? Or do we really just keep going?
Mhm.
And through that experience, I learned that we don't die. Our bodies die, but we don't die.
Right.
You know, and I had other experiences where I learned from, you know, many memories of past lives that I lived. And I learned lessons. And one thing I recognized in all of those, through all of those past remembrances, I was still the same person.
Isn't that the most fascinating? And we look, even though we may look a little bit physically different, we look exactly the same, right?
Yeah,
And this is why
yeah,
we recognize each other when we see each other. Like, don't I know you from somewhere? Yes,
yeah,
indeed you do.
yeah. And when babies are born here, people don't know this. So they are born with a personality and they're born with characteristics. And
Yes.
people, where did my child pick this up from?
Hmm.
They are just being authentic who they are.
Yeah. Just carried with them, right? Just so many lives and so many memories, and expressed through our children.
Yeah,
And yeah, and then we pound it out of them, make them forget, right? Because you have forgotten. So,
yeah,
but there's no more forgetting. There's only remembering anymore. It's the way everything has shifted. It's it's just about. I had this a few days ago. I woke up and I was literally a new person. I'm the same person, but I was walking every step I took, everything I looked at. I thought, I just, my heart was leaping with joy and gratitude. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have arrived. I thought, I remember, I'm remembering this. I've been here. Oh my gosh. And just started coming in. And I thought, oh, blessed be. This is, oh, so joyous. And nothing has changed every day
yeah,
since, and this was just a few days back, and um, it can hit you anytime, and it can hit you in small doses at a time, right?
yeah,
Doing the work as you go along. But, when you get that next level, I guess some people maybe would call it a download or whatever. I just say I'm really stepping into myself. I'm showing up. I got work to do. We have a
yeah.
mission. We have a mission, Colin.
Oh, I know that. I've been on this mission since 2006,
Yep.
and it's been a wonderful experience. You know, I wouldn't want it any other way.
No, no, me either. It's some really challenging times and really dark times, and that's okay, because in the darkness there's always light, and once that's expressed and exposed, it's
Yeah,
sending gratitude and appreciation for all of it to be able to get to who and what we are. I can't wait until this planet shifts. I can't wait till the moon is out of here. I can't wait until or at least completely transmitting love or something, right? No more dark mother crap. I'm done with it. So
yeah, yeah. We have to purge a lot of the lies that we've been told, and purge ourselves of our conditioning,
yeah,
because when we live on this planet and we grow up here, we are conditioned to think, we're conditioned to believe, we're conditioned to feel, and we have a lot of conditions which becomes our automatic responses and the way we experience our reality here. So we have to purge that and
yeah,
say, that's not who I am. Who I am is who I am in my soul. And we have to start remembering who we are. And in this in this course that I did on soul codes, I give some exercises that people can do to help them to remember who they are and learn how to be their authentic selves. You know, I also do at the end, I've got an exercise for how to protect yourself against dissonant resonances. You know, people don't know this, but when you're having sex with somebody and you orgasm, you open up your soul body, your auric fields, and you exchange soul codes with your your sexual partner. And that is good when, you know, that is in a right relationship with another. That's perfectly legitimate. But if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're uncertain about them, then you need to protect yourself.
Very much
And
need to protect yourself. I've been in situations when you can see even entities attached to the person wanting to steal both codes. And
yeah,
so, you know, and that's what I talk about. Take back your essence, take back your ovum, your sperm, take it all back, right? Every little piece at a time. Claim it back, take it back, because it's been stolen. It's been
yeah,
stolen. It's been ripped off.
yeah. And it gets to the heart of what I was taught and what I'm teaching humanity now, and it's how energy works in the universe.
Mhm.
Because the universal system is not like planet Earth. You know, in my experience of other dimensional states and, you know, time-space continuum with other higher dimensional beings, they are totally different from humans, and they have a totally different understanding of the way things are. And they've told me that we have to change. We have to understand how the universe works. And that's what they told me. And so I had to learn this whole system of energetics and energy and how it works and what exists. What are the things that we can't see? What are they? And how do they affect us and how we can use them, you know, to energize ourselves and become breatharian rather than having to eat other beings, you know, and all these kind of things that people need to become aware of and consider as an alternative way to live, rather than the way what we have now, which is completely unnatural. In the universe, it's completely unnatural for humans to eat their own species as we do here. You know,
Yeah.
people eat babies. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's not human. It's
No,
anti-human, or it's anti-human, it's anti-Christ, right?
yeah,
It's absolutely disgusting. And people, in order to understand themselves and understand this and understanding histories, unfortunately, we have to go into political realms and exopolitical agendas and understand these. Otherwise, we're missing an entire piece of how we put the puzzle together and how we heal, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's amazing to me over and over again. It's interesting, isn't it, how they separate church from state? You know, from day one, from the get-go, we're not going to talk about this and this in the same room ever, 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 right? Um, well, because you know, someone might just figure something out.
yeah. When in fact, the church and state are the same thing.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be revealed, and it's going to take humanity some time to adjust
Mm.
to many things, you know. And but if humanity doesn't change, then we are going to drive this planet into a black hole,
Yeah.
and that's likely to happen. I mean, even now at the moment, they've got the CERN, you know, a generator that they're trying to create a black hole on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are crazy. They don't understand what they're doing, you know, or they do understand, but it's anti-human.
Right. Right. But in creating this, do they think that they're going to survive it? This is what I don't understand. Are they somehow going to be exempt? Are they going to, um, I don't know, maybe there's some of them that'll go off planet or something before that happens, or whatever, but I don't understand their analogy there. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, look, they hold the demon, demonic and Satan powers in high esteem. So, you know, they've given their souls over to the devil, basically, and so they've gone beyond the point of caring for themselves. They care more for evil than they do for good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
having
was
said
talking
that,
to Barrett the other day, and he was talking
we're gonna
about,
win.
huh?
We're gonna win.
We are going to win. Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about mentors, about basically, how there's going to be mentors on the planet. And, you know, I think that it'll be being able to look around and see who those mentors are. I think are the ones sharing the information, right?
Yeah, 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 and it's also people's hearts need to change. You know, they need to soften their hearts and stop taking such a hard look at the planet and stop being afraid that somehow they will be overcome.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. We are going to overcome, overcome this difficult time, and we will overcome the powers of the demons. But having said that, and I mentioned this in my course, if you just think about your genealogy and how large your family is on this planet, really. If
Yeah.
you we just tend to think about great grandparents and great grandparents, but we don't think of the long line of people that came before them,
Hmm.
and we are all part of the same family, really. You know, that we share so much, not only in terms of our genetics, but also our soul history,
Hmm.
because it's the way that groups of souls incarnate together and they share experiences many times and many times over in many lifetimes. And we have an enormous soul family out there, that we don't recognize. But once we begin to activate more DNA in our bodies, and this is through our thoughts and feelings and values and standards, our behaviors and the way we speak and our attitudes, and as we develop them, and that activates soul codes, and soul codes activate our DNA.
Yes.
So when we begin to understand that and start working with the power that already is there, because the power, we are born with the soul codes intact.
Yeah.
They're out in our soul fields. It's like the ROM in a computer. It's the programming that is there when the computer, and it runs the entire operating system.
Yeah.
And that is, in terms of soul code, it's called the seed code. So we are incarnated with an intact seed code, with all the information, all the memory of all our past lifetimes, of all our genetic family connections. All that history is there in our DNA.
Yeah.
We've just forgotten how it works. We've just forgotten that. And
Hmm.
once we begin to remember how large our families are, because if we go back in history, we'll find that we are all interconnected in
Yes.
many, many different ways.
There's no segregation. There's no
Yeah,
segregation. And
yeah,
that's I think that's an important part because there's a whole divide and conquer. You live here, you look like this, you look like that. There's none of that. It's it's no wonder people have memories or feelings or a connection to something that doesn't make sense to them, right?
yeah,
It's because
yeah,
it's already in you. It's all you already experienced something or are in alignment with, or spent more time as, uh, and and it's how it expresses through you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. And how our genes express. Gosh, we could go on and on. One of my and we're just about done here, but one of my favorite classes that Colin has taught you guys is Attitudes of Mastery. Uh, and I think that's what it was called, Attitudes of Mastery. Is that right? I loved that.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And it's amazing if you start exercising those attitudes and start using them,
yeah.
that they they open up so many possibilities.
Hmm.
Because generally, a bad attitude will close opportunities.
Yes.
Okay. good attitudes open opportunities. So if we exercise good attitudes, that opens up great opportunities for us because it puts us onto a different timeline.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Well, my friends, I think we've captured people for an hour. They're probably ready for a break and all of the fun things. Thank you so much. I love you so much, Colin. I'm so glad that we get to do this on Sundays.
And I love you too.
Mm.
Wonderful woman and a wonderful friend and a great companion. I love this every day. We sit and chat and we talk our heads off.
I know. I love it. It's so fun. It's so fun. And and the exchange and the co-creation, just makes me feel all happy. I get all happy and joyful and full of love. So starts my day off perfect. My whole week, it starts my whole week off perfect. So, and thank you everybody for being here with us.
Yep.
I have put something in our chat about Russell Gould, as well as connecting to the writings of colinjoe.com. And yeah, so you can follow Colin here on Facebook and also pop into the writings of colinjoe.com. And he's also got a Patreon, which is really fun. So you can kind of choose where you want to be or can be. And should you feel so inclined, he has a donation button as well. So he can keep sharing his beautiful wisdom with us. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, well, it's great to be with you, and look out for my posts on Facebook about soul codes. The video is completed, and it's probably going to open a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. I love it. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Love you.
Talk with you soon.
Bye.
Bye.